Hello, I'm Chase Gottschalk, and today is October 5th, 2025. Um, I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and I will be interviewing Cyrus Havewala of the Atlanta, Georgia for the Fires Intergenerational Oral History Project. The interviewee resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Cyrus, please state your full name, your age, and where you reside.
My name is Cyrus Havewala. I'm 73 years old, and as a matter of fact, I just turned 73 5 days back. I was born October 1, 1952, and now currently I live in Alpharetta, Georgia, which is the suburb of Atlanta.
Great, thank you for being a part of this project, Cyrus. Now to start, tell me about your childhood and any early memories you have about that.
Let me start with my family background just a little bit without going into too much detail. So my dad was born in a small town in the state of Gujarat in India called Nargol. And Nargol is extremely well known with other Parsis in India. So he was born in Nargol, and my mom was born and raised in a small town called Ilau, which is a town next to the city of Surat, which is again in Gujarat, the state of Gujarat. It's about 4 or 5 hours north of Bombay. And they both were raised in a very poor family. They got married and then they had 5 kids. So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the youngest in the family, and by significant amount. My oldest brother is 20 years older than me, so he's almost like my dad. So I was born in a town, a coastal town in Gujarat, and the name of the town was Mitapur. It's Mithapur, Mitapur. And so I was listening to the other interviews, yeah, and most of the people in the United States or the people who were interviewed are from Bombay. My upbringing was very different. I was born in this tiny little town called Mitapur, and I had, like I said, very different upbringing. The reason I'm bringing up this town, Mitapur, because it has a huge impact on how it shaped my future and also how it shaped the future of my siblings. So in India, one of the largest corporations is called Tatas. Tata happens to be a Zoroastrian family who started the company many, many years back. And Tata companies is into everything. They manufacture steel products, they manufacture automobile, they manufacture automotive. They also are into Tata consultancy. They manage Tata hotels. So it's a very diverse set of investments that Tata had made. So Tata's decided to start this manufacturing facility in Mitapur. And they were going to manufacture soda ash and also salt. Soda ash is usually used for detergent and things like that. So it was for commercial and personal use both. So when they picked the site, one of the things they realized that even though the location was great, so it was on the coast, tropical climate, beautiful place, but it was kind of remotely located, very far away from any big city. So the business model that Tata's used is they bought significant amount of land all around the factory that they were going to build. Now this happened before I was born, so this was in 1940s. And what they did was they built the entire town and built houses for every employee who would be working in the factory. So and it was a different level of homes, for people who worked on the floor, the laborers or the blue collar workers had one level of house. If you get promoted to the next level, you move into like larger house and so on. And the general manager of the factory had this beautiful bungalow right on the ocean. Tata's also provided all the infrastructure in Mitapur. So the roads were just perfectly maintained. Uh, they had a hospital, very advanced hospital for that day and time. So they even hired three doctors. One was a surgeon, other were two general practitioners. And they were so forward thinking at that time that they even hired a female physician to make sure the residents, who were the females, would feel comfortable going to this doctor. They had three schools that they built, and they had all the roads perfectly maintained. They also had power supplies without any kind of interruptions, which was very unheard of in 1940s and 50s in India, water supply and all this stuff. By putting in this infrastructure and creating this ideal town, they were able to attract a lot of talent. Okay, so people who worked in Mitapur, they had masters and PhDs from either United States or from England. And that was a big influence on us. As my generation was growing up, we were surrounded by people who were highly educated, and they also worked as mentors for some of us. And that influenced our future, that kind of shaped our future because of the Mitapur and what kind of talent they had. So my family life-wise, so my dad eventually ended up working for Tata's in Mitapur, and I was born in Mitapur. I happened to be the first Parsi or Zoroastrian born in Mitapur Hospital, so that was kind of interesting. And some of the memories I have is I remember my family life to be very happy and full of laughter and very family time kind of stuff that we spent. My parents raised us with very heavy focus on high level of values, family values, hard work, treating everyone with dignity and respect, irrespective of what kind of religion they belong to or what kind of race or color or anything like that. And also one of the key focus my parents had was they taught us how to live a very disciplined life. And all that stuff they taught us kind of played a big role as I was growing up and I was building my own future. So all that foundation that was provided to me at very early stage of my life came in extremely handy and helped me a lot as I grew up and started living my life in the United States. In the house that I was raised, even though it was a company house, it was a 3-bedroom house, and we had 11 people in the house. So my parents, 2 of them, 5 kids, the 7, my 2 grandmothers, that's 9, and then I had 2 other cousins whose parents were not financially able to take care of all the kids. So my parents kept 2 family kids with us, so there were 11 of us in the house. And I never felt like the house was crowded because that's the only thing I knew, right? When I grew up with 10 other people with me all the time, we never felt like there was no room for us, that it was overcrowded, nothing like that. The life was pretty simple. We only had necessities in life. I cannot remember anything that we had which was kind of a luxurious item. But we had food, we had clothing, we were provided with good education and good values. And in the town that we lived in, again in Mitapur, in the house we had a pretty large sized backyard. And I remember we had 1 cow and 20 chickens in our backyard. And also my mom grew vegetables in the backyard. So we had fresh supply of eggs, milk, and vegetables all the time. And at that time we did not have refrigerator in the house because that was considered to be luxury. So everything fresh was coming from our backyard. And then the other thing my mom cooked a lot, which was legumes, which most of the Parsis eat, that's a common diet. and chicken or meat was kind of a luxury items, so on a special occasion mom would cook chicken or meat, but they were rationed because 11 people, think about that, right? So we only had like one or two pieces, even when it was kind of cooked on a special occasion. Uh, so the life was simple, but it was extremely happy. It was full of laughter. We all kind of got along well. We had a lot of fun together. But just to give you some idea of the simplicity, on my birthday, every year the gift was I would get a brand new sadra, the religious cloth that we wear, right? And same thing with my brothers. I never felt like I was missing out on something, or I was deprived of anything. Uh, I'm sure my parents struggled a lot in making their ends meet, but they never made us feel like they were struggling with anything. So we as a kids were having great time. I'm pretty sure it was a very big stretch for my parents to have that many people taken care of with just one paycheck coming in every month. As good as Mitapur was, one of the disadvantages with Mitapur was, so by the way, I went to school in Mitapur, and majority of my time went into the clubhouse. I spent in the evening playing table tennis, badminton, all this stuff. So that's where my time went in the evening.
What was your favorite part of Mitapur?
So, as I told you, the Mitapur, the Tatas had thought through every possible detail, right, in providing the right infrastructure and all this stuff. But one of the things I mentioned was the clubhouse, right? And, I talked about the sports and all this stuff. But the other thing that the clubhouse offered was they had this huge library where they had arranged for international magazines that were published different places in the world. They used to bring that in on a monthly basis to that library. So again, in a very young age, I remember reading Reader's Digest, National Geographic, Life magazine, Time magazine, all that stuff. So the education was happening even outside school, because of the way the Tatas had kind of organized that entire place. The other thing that, again, how advanced they were, that every house that was built for people, that was on a regular maintenance schedule. So every 4 years your house would be painted. So the town had a lot of great appearance also, but it was very culturally rich town. So because of the clubhouse and the library and the people, all that stuff brought a high level of culture richness to the town and for the people. And what I was saying earlier, that as good as Mitapur was, one of the disadvantages of living in Mitapur was you could only live in Mitapur while you are employed with the company, because the town was owned by the corporation. So when my dad retired, I was like 12 years old. Now, I was only used to having everything perfect in the town, which was, again, very unusual in India, but the roads were perfect, the clubhouse was there, the schools were great. There was never even a thought of losing power, which happens all the time in India, even now. So I was used to everything being perfect. My dad retires, and they decided to move to a bigger city, which was about 4 to 5 hours away. I have no idea how they picked the city, but we moved to that city. And the reality of living in India hit me when I was 12 or 13 years old. I started getting exposed to a little bit of chaos, a lot of crowd. The cleanliness was not there everywhere I went. It was different. It was very different. But again, we got used to it. And then I spent 3 years of my high school in a city called Rajkot, which was also part of the state of Gujarat. And I went to a Catholic school called St. Mary's, and that's where I finished my high school.
So after high school, obviously you have to go to college, right? But what was that experience like choosing college, maybe in India, and then
Sure.
moving to the US after that?
Sure. So after I finished my high school, my parents were aging quite a bit, and they kind of thought through the whole thing, and they thought it would be a good idea for them and myself both if I lived with them while I was going to college. So they picked this small college town, uh, and the college that I had applied for and graduated from is called Birla College of Engineering. And there are two Birla College of Engineering in India. One is in Gujarat, state of Gujarat, and that's the one I went to. And my parents rented a house, and one of my grandma was still living with us, so it was four of us in the house. And I started my college over there. And I'm so glad they made that call, because a few months after I started my college, my dad passed away. So it was good that I was there for my mom while she was grieving and going through some hard times. So I'm glad they chose the life that they chose, with me being in the house and living with my parents while I was going to college. Now, getting in India, the is highly competitive to enter an engineering college. Thousands of students apply for few hundred seats in college. So you have to work extremely hard and get ready for a prep exam to enter the college. And I was lucky enough to be selected to join the engineering program in college in India. And my major was mechanical engineering. And while I'm going through college, one of the things I started realizing very quickly is there were a lot of kids who were brilliant and they had perfect GPA all the time. I was not at that level where I could achieve perfect GPA all the time. And I was always forward thinking. I always thought about the future. And I always wanted to have a plan. So I'm thinking about saying, after I'm done with my college, how am I going to land a job? And how am I going to compete with these kids who are extremely good in college? So one of the things I knew about myself is I knew I could outwork anyone, anytime. I was extremely hardworking since I was young in anything I did. But I also knew that telling a corporation that I'm very hardworking was not good enough. So I thought through the whole thing, and I came up with this idea on my own. Is one of my sisters still lived in Mitapur, and I used to go and visit her during the summer months. And I decided to go on my second year in college to the factory, and I asked to meet with the HR director. And when I met with him, I told him that I would like to spend 3 months working in the factory. In India, no one had ever heard about someone asking for a summer internship. There was nothing like summer internship. There was nothing like part-time jobs. It was only people who had college degrees or different requirements. When they would meet that, they would land a job. So the first reaction of the HR director was saying, we don't have anything like that. I mean, you're not even old enough to work. And I said, I'm not looking for a paycheck. What I'm looking for is experience in different departments within the factory. And after my 3 months, I want you to give me a certificate which highlights the experience I have gained. He was very impressed with my approach, and he said, you can start tomorrow. And during that first summer, I worked in all different departments, power plant, in workshops, in different areas, and started gaining experience. I loved it. I knew that would out-trump the great grades that the other kids brought. And I knew that would be the edge I would have when I'm competing for a job with other students. I did that for the last 3 years in my college. And even though I was never able to use that certificate right away, because after that I came to the United States for college, the experience had helped me a lot. of how to work in a factory, how to deal with different people, and the technology that people use, how do people get work done, what leadership is all about, all this stuff I was learning. I was just doing it for getting the certificate, but I was learning at the same time quite a bit. I also, in college, I remember I spent quite a bit of time on playing sports. I had the natural God-given ability to excel at some of the sports. So I played soccer and table tennis, and I played at a national level. So that kind of kept me out of trouble also, because if I didn't have that, I'm pretty sure I would have gotten into a lot of trouble in the early stages of my life. But staying focused on college and then the off hours focused on the sports helped me a lot. Now, once I finished up my college, just before that, a few years before that, my mom was very purposeful in life, in everything. And she had been to the United States several times to visit my brothers who were already here. Two of my brothers had already immigrated to the United States, and my mom used to come and visit them. And every time she would come back, she would talk to me about what life is all about in the United States. And she kept on guiding me. She said, by the way, Cyrus, maintain a good GPA because I want you to go to the United States for further education. And it's a country that provides you many more opportunities than you would ever find in India. I had never even thought about those things, but my mom kept on conveying that message to me. So when I finished up my college, that path was already set for me. Now, my mom was making significant amount of sacrifices because she knew that when I left, she would be by herself and she was getting old. But she made that sacrifice for my benefit, for my own good, to convince me to go to the United States. So that's how I ended up coming for my college. And one of the things that happened to me when I came to the United States is my oldest brother, who had been in the United States for many years, because again, he is 20 years older than me. He left India when I was only 4 years old. So we did not know each other at all. I could have run into him on a street and never recognized him. I mean, he came to India maybe once to get married, but otherwise we did not have that bond as brothers. So when I came to the United States, he said, why don't you come and live with me while you go to college? We have a room, extra room. We get a chance to know each other, and you don't have to worry about other expenses. And I jumped on that deal right away because, I didn't have any money. My mom bought me the tickets, and that's about it. She could afford. So I took him up on that offer. I lived with him, and I joined University of Delaware because that's where he lived, in Delaware. And I started my master's program. So I went to University of Delaware, and while I was in college, again, I was very driven in different things. So during the last few months of my college, I decided to find a part-time job. And I worked in a fast food chain restaurant, flipping burgers, cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning the floor, and did that for several months. So I would go to college in the morning, in the evening I would go and work. And one of the things that happened is the manager of that store quickly realized how hardworking I was. So he pulls me on the side one day. I'm kind of wrapping up my master's by that time. And he said, would you like to go for a training to learn about management and leadership? And if you do well, we'll give you a store to run. We'll make you a manager of a fast food restaurant. And I jumped on that right away. Sure. So they had their headquarters in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They asked me to go there for like 8 weeks. And everything I was learning it was exciting. It was how to lead people, how to manage people. And after I came back, within few weeks, they made me an assistant manager at one of the stores, fast food restaurant. And what does assistant manager mean? Is you work harder with lower pay. But it didn't bother me because I was again learning how to lead people, how to manage people who were same age as myself. There were other college kids who were working there, working in that store, and some of the people were old enough to be my dad. But I was learning how to lead them and manage them. And as much as I was enjoying, I knew that was not the place where I wanted to build my career. So I did that for a few months, and then I started looking for the job for the field that I had graduated from college, which was for mechanical engineering.
So when you looked for what job you wanted to get, where did you end up, and like what memories did you have from that job?
Sure. So in old days, we did not have computers. Mm-hmm. So every evening, I would open a newspaper, and you find the ads, what are the jobs available. And I had finished my college in 1977, and it was tough times at that time. The job market was a little slow. And after you find the ad, you type a letter on a typewriter, you put it in the mail, you mail it to the company, and then you may hear back or you may not hear back. And I would say majority of the letters that I got would be, thank you for your interest, we don't have an opening, or someone else has been found. And it was very disheartening because you come all the way from India to the United States for a better opportunity. You work hard, you have good education, but landing the job was not easy for me. But I kept on trying, and I think it took me a couple of months. And then when I had job offer, I had like 3 different job offers at the same time. And I chose Corning, which is known as Corning Glass, now is called Corning Incorporated, and it's a glass company. And I decided to join Corning as a design engineer, and I moved to Corning, New York. So I left my brother's house, and for the first time in my life, I had my independence, so to speak, in living independently. Not that that's a good thing, because I miss the home-cooked meals and someone taking care of me, but that's when I started my life as like I say, independently.
And so I heard that you won the Malcolm Baldrige Award while you worked at Corning. Could you tell us more about that and what you won it for exactly?
So let me give you a little bit more background about Corning. So I started as a design engineer, but then I quickly started getting involved. This was, by the way, in the fiber optics. Fiber optics changed the entire world. Internet happened because of fiber optics, right? So I was in the fiber optics division. So it was very high growth division that I was working in. And one of the things Corning was doing at that time was starting up manufacturing facilities to keep up with the growth. So I started 2 manufacturing facilities in the United States at that time. And after that, I was working as a process engineer. This was, by the way, in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I started the manufacturing facility. And then Corning decided to invest into international manufacturing. So they asked me to move to England for 1 year to start a joint venture between Corning and British Telecom. So I started a manufacturing facility in England. I came back to United States after 1 year, and then they asked me to move to Italy to start a joint venture between Corning and Pirelli. So Pirelli, is known for a lot of other products, but they decided to go into telecom market also. So I spent 1 year in Italy, starting up the manufacturing facility. Again, at a young age, I was learning how to work with different cultures. We as Americans are very driven with specific goals and objectives, deadline dates. European culture is a little bit more laid back. So I had to learn how to kind of get the job done, but at the same time work with different cultures. I was learning all this stuff. And then when I came back to United States, I came back to the Wilmington plant and moved up into the ranks of different levels within the manufacturing facility. And one of our senior vice president decided to compete for Malcolm Baldrige Award, apply for the Malcolm Baldrige Award. Malcolm Baldrige Award is a quality award given to one company once a year by the President of the United States. And it's very, very difficult to, when you apply, to even get an invitation to compete in that one. So first time when we applied, we were rejected. So rejected with the specific things that we need to work on to be able to apply again in few years. We took that feedback and we applied again after like 5 or 6 years afterwards. And people who come and evaluate if you are worthy to achieve that, receive that award, are sometimes CEOs of different companies. So it's a very high standard, high level of award. And so we applied for that award again, and we were selected to receive the award. At that time, in the White House, it was Bill Clinton who was the president, and their Secretary of Commerce, I believe, was Mr. Brown, and they presented the award to us. It's a once in a lifetime that happens to very few people, and we took a lot of pride in achieving that award because you have to work extremely hard. All your processes has to be in place. Everything has to kind of tied together. How focused are you on customers? How focused are you on even having your suppliers being successful? So everything is kind of evaluated, and they trust but verify everything to make sure you have documented processes and you are trying really hard to achieve excellence, and also that you have a competitive edge over your competitors. And we had all that stuff. So it was a great honor to be part of the team. A lot of hard work by a lot of people, and we were able to get that the award.
Okay, so you have this great career at Corning, but then you decide to make a change. What motivated you to do that?
After that, after 25 years with Corning, I received a call from a recruiter, and they asked me if I would be willing to talk to a company. And I asked them what company it was, and they said Target Corporation. And my first reaction was saying, I think you have a wrong number. I'm a mechanical engineering, I'm a manufacturing guy, I have experience in operations, but I have no experience in logistics or supply chain or distribution. And the person, I still remember, told me, he said they're looking for people with great leadership skills. And that perked my interest because I was all about how to be a great leader. So I told him, absolutely, I'll talk to the company. And I had my first telephone interview with Target. I was very impressed. I had no intentions of leaving Corning at that time. But I had my first interview with Target. One thing led to another, and they invited me to Minneapolis, Minnesota for additional interviews, and they made me an offer. And I had to make this very tough call in life. Should I stay with the company that I've admired for so long, or should I take a risk and try something different? And I think my wife, Angela, played a big role in helping me think through this whole process. And we both decided that it would be great if I would take the risk and try something different. So I resigned from Corning and joined Target. And one key learning that came out of this entire process was when your values and beliefs matches the corporation values and beliefs, it's a great marriage. It's like any other relationship, whether it's a husband and wife, two friends, an organization and an individual. When the values and beliefs matches together for two entities, that's when everything works well. And when I joined Target, I quickly found out that their values and beliefs were very much in what I believed in. Even though Corning was a great company, Target values were very similar to what I was raised with. And my career just took off, and I did fairly well with Target. So I had a great fortune to work for two phenomenal companies, Corning and Target.
Now that you're accustomed, obviously, to the United States, what's your current life like right now?
Life is great. Yeah, I mean that's a short answer. My wife is American. She was born and raised in the United States. She's a wonderful person, so that's a great thing. Having a person that you spend the rest of your life with, who's your best friend. I work hard. Now I have my own business. I work as a leadership advisor, teaching other leaders how to be successful in corporate America. So I've taken all the learnings from my time with both Corning and Target, and also a lot of learnings from some phenomenal leaders that I was surrounded by. And I teach others how to be successful in corporate America or even a small company. So I'm working now maybe 2 or 3 days a week. So I have a pretty balanced life right now. I left Target in 2015 and I started my business same year. First few months I kind of played hard. I joined, because of my interest in sports, I joined 55 plus baseball teams. I played tennis, I played pickleball. I was just having a great time, having that freedom of not going to work every single day and being at some place at a certain time. So I did that for the first few months, but then I kind of felt like I needed some intellectual stimulation. So I started this business because that was one of my key passions when I worked. Not only delivering great results, but I used to invest into people in grooming them on how to be successful at the next level. So I turned that into a business model, and now I'm working with maybe 4 or 5 companies. I only work one-on-one with each leader for approximately 1.5 to 2 years, and I give them a high dosage of what leadership is all about. So that's my work side. On the personal side, my wife and I, we love going to music concerts. We go to Broadway plays. We are big into cultural stuff, so we do that. We travel a lot. And one of the other hobbies I have is I love to cook. So I try different cooking, and that's a good way to make some friends also. You know, when you cook and invite people, they become your friends very quickly.
Yeah.
So life is good overall. And by the way, I play golf at least once a week or twice a week, and I watch, NFL and things like that. I'm too old to play any other sports, so now I spend more time watching sports.
Like Falcons games. Yeah.
Falcons game, like when you and I were together, right? Exactly,
Yeah.
at the stadium on
Yeah.
the same day. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a recipe book, and there's an interesting history behind it. So when my mom used to come to United States after I moved to US, she came and stayed with me for 1 month, more than once. And when I used to go to work every day, she was fairly lonely. But the nice part was she cooked all different meals for me for lunch and dinner, which I enjoyed. And because she used to complain about her being bored and lonely while I was at work, I said, Mom, why don't you take all these recipes and that you are cooking for me and write it down? Someday it will come in handy. So she spent the entire month, every single day, she would write recipes. So what I did after she passed away, many years after she passed away, I took all her recipes and translated that into English. So my wife, who's American, even she can follow this, recipes. And in the recipes, I have only one handwritten recipe from her right here that I kept. And the reason I kept it is what the message she left at the end, that stay happy, stay smiling. My hands were hurting when I wrote all that, but I took time to write this because I saw the happiness on your face and love and blessings from your mom. That's why I kept this one specific handwritten recipe that she had, and the rest of them are all the ones that I translated into English with a nice index also.
Transitioning more to the religious aspect, what does being a Zoroastrian mean to you?
So my parents believed, they had very strong belief in the prayers, Parsi prayers. And we were all taught, all of my siblings and myself, were taught to pray twice a day. Once in the morning after your shower and once before going to bed. And I cannot remember a day that I've missed prayers. I pray every single day, and I also strongly believe in the power of our prayers.
So this is the book, our prayer book, that my mom gave me the day I flew out from Bombay to come to United States as a gift. And she wrote a really nice message with her blessings right here with Parsi day, Parsi month, and the year. And I have always cherished this book, used that daily, twice a day, for my prayers. And it's something that I really appreciate that she gave this to me as a gift when I left.
I've had 27 addresses in my life. I was moving quite a bit with Corning and also with Target. It was all career-related moves. So I've lived in 4 different countries, up and down the East Coast, Midwest, and the West Coast. The places that I lived, very often, there were not too many Zoroastrians in the community. For example, Wilmington, North Carolina, I was the only Parsi person. When I lived in England, I was the only Zoroastrian. When I lived in Early, I was only Zoroastrian. And after I left North Carolina, when I moved to Boston, first time we had some Parsi communities that I was associated with, my wife and I both. And then we went to Minneapolis, Minnesota, Charlotte, North Carolina, but all those places had small Parsi communities. But having a full-time job, only time I had a little bit of interaction with them was on the weekends kind of stuff. And my wife and I both knew that someday when I'm not working and if we have a freedom to live anywhere in the world, we want to live where there is a sizable Zoroastrian community. That was important to both of us. So I happened to come to Atlanta or Alpharetta often on my business. I was not living here, and I had known that there was a good Zoroastrian community. So we came to Alpharetta to spend now hopefully the rest of our lives in this area. And I was blown away of how good the Zoroastrian community in Atlanta is, and how well organized they are, how close-knit they are, how much fun they have, but at the same time they're always there to help other people out. The kids are just brilliant in our society, people like you. I mean, at young age, what you're accomplishing, same thing. A lot of other kids are doing a great job in high school, college, and so on. And it's like one big family over here. And it's been just great to be part of that Zoroastrian family that now we belong to also. So I think the local people need to have much more appreciation of what we have over here. You know, it's just it's a great community, because I've been to small communities in the past, but this community is just amazing. It's tough to describe until you get a flavor of how good this community is. So I'm extremely proud not only to be a Zoroastrian, but I'm also extremely proud to be part of the Zoroastrian Atlanta Association.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
How would you like to be remembered by future generations?
Interesting. I would love for people to remember me as someone who's always willing to help others out. That's something just comes natural to me. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a student who needs some guidance, someone who's looking for a job and wants some help with how to interview, how to navigate through corporate America, or any kind of help someone needs. I'm always there to help people out. So that's one thing. The second one would be, I hope people remember me as a person who put a lot of value on family and friends. I'm all about people. And there's nothing more important to me than the family and the friends. So that's the second one. And the last one, I hope people remember me as someone who loved to laugh. I do. I just enjoy life. I love to laugh. And if I'm at any kind of, parties or get together, most of the time, the table with most laughter that's where I am. And I hope people remember me like that.
Well, thank you so much, Cyrus, for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And I want to appreciate you for the time that you are investing into our community at a very young age. And it's also a reflection on how well your parents has raised you. And congratulations and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.